Okay, let's deal with the big one. I heat my house with a gas furnace. Last year, it pumped more than 2.5 tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. That's because I live in Thunder Bay. Winters here get to minus 30 or so. So I am not going to turn it off and wear a sweater. How am I supposed to heat my house without gas?
The one that I like the most is an electric heat pump.
This is Richard Clark. He's a registered energy advisor here in Thunder Bay.
The general idea is that it's an air conditioner that runs backwards.
But he says there's a downside to using them in places like Thunder Bay.
They get less efficient the colder it gets because there's just less air or less heat in the air for them to extract.
If you live in a cold climate, you need a secondary heat source for really cold days. The other option Richard tells me about is geothermal. Those systems draw heat from the ground via pipes. The downside of those? The installation cost.
You're usually looking at least, I want to say in the $20,000 to $30,000 range.
The quote I got was close to $75,000. Looking at these options leaves me frustrated. We've known about climate change for decades now. I feel like we should have better and more accessible options by now. The federal government does offer incentives for green retrofits, $5,000 grants and $40,000 interest-free loans, but the loan has a 10-year payoff period, and that's a little steep for me. Warren Mabee is the director of the Queen's Institute for Energy and Environmental Policy. He says the government's on the right track with these incentives, but it could stand to tweak the program a bit.
It would not take much to provide incentives that could be geared to household income.
Now, I may have another financing option down the road from now, in the last place you might ever expect to find one. My gas company, Enbridge. Jeff Salazar is their geothermal specialist.
Our programs that we're developing here at Enbridge are a no upfront capital solution. So we actually absorb that capital cost and we convert it into a monthly operating expense for the homeowner.
Jeff tells me Enbridge will install geothermal systems or heat pumps for people and even do the maintenance and repairs. We just pay them a monthly fee that would be similar to the amount on our monthly gas bills. We'd be on contract with them for 15 to 40 years, but there are buyout options. Jeff says Enbridge is focused more on new construction right now. People who live in small city lots in out-of-the-way communities where installation is especially expensive, in other words, me, we might have to wait until the program ramps up a bit before it's cost-effective for the company to work with us. I find a possible interim solution in what's called renewable natural gas. It's derived from methane emissions from places like landfills. Some utilities, like FortisBC, will sell it to you for a premium. You can also pay a company called Bullfrog Power to do something similar. They estimate how much natural gas you burn each year and then inject an equivalent amount of renewable natural gas into the pipeline system. Suha Jethalal is their president.
You think of the pipeline as a bathtub, and you've got the good tap and the bad tap. Basically, we're increasing the amount coming in from the good sources and greening that water in the tub over time.
But I had to ask Suha, is there really enough waste out there for everyone with a gas furnace to use renewable natural gas? Is this really sustainable?
Right now, there's limited supply, and there's a lot of work being done on figuring out better solutions. Over time, the ideal scenario is that we electrify everything and then we power that with renewable sources.
For me, that means geothermal is still on the agenda, but it could be a while before I can actually finance a conversion. For now, paying a premium for renewable natural gas is an option I can live with. And yeah, I could probably stand to wear a sweater more. For CBC Radio, I'm Heather Kitching.